Shabbat Shalom, everyone. For those of you who are joining us on templeshalom.com, and for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, we say Shabbat Shalom to you as well, and we're happy to have all of you with us this evening. We're going to begin on page 128 in Sidur Mishkan Tefillah. That's right. I'm glad that you're all moving. The seats in the back are much more expensive. The seats in the front are cheaper. So if you want to spend less money, you want to sit in the front rows because they're less expensive. That's the way it works. I don't know if that convinces people to move up or not, but maybe it does. I don't know. The middle of page 128. Yedid nefesh harachaman, Yedid nefesh harachaman, Mishochatecha el ritzonecha, Mishochatecha la 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 el ritzonecha. Yavut Avdecha Kemo Ayav Yishtachavei La 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 El Burhadarecha Yidid Nefesh Harachaman Yidid Nefesh Harachaman Mishochatecha El Ritzonecha Mishochatecha La 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 El Ritzonecha Yavut Avdecha Ellie, the answer to your question is there's a remote control right next to the door of my office. That's this one. There's a remote control next to the mailboxes in the office. That's the back too. Yeah. So there you go. So that's where the remote controls are. They're not the switches on the wall. That would be much too logical. We don't want to have a switch on the wall. Do you see that right there? So you can just take it off the door and walk out here with it. That's the one. Yeah. And that will do to that's the front one, and then the other remote is the two in the back, and there you go. We're going to see if we can get it to, there we go. Is it slowing down? Perfect. For those at home who are on YouTube and templeshalom.com wondering what is this rambling that I'm talking about here, we're working with the fans in the room because it's a cold night. We don't need the fan cooling everybody off even more. Everybody's cool enough. So there we go. Yeah. That should do it right there. I think that's going to do it there. There we go. And that did the front two, and the other one will do the back one. Okay. There is no prayer for a fan in the Sidur. Otherwise, I would have you turn to that particular prayer. And however, I do know that it is a desire of your hearts to have the fan turned off. And at the bottom of page 129, there's a song that comes out of the liturgy that says, God is my heart's desire for God to turn off the fan. Perhaps that might be. And the words go like this. Ele chamda libi, chusana ve'al natitalem. Ele chamda libi, chusana ve'al natitalem. Ele chamda libi, chusana ve'al natitalem. So that's the first half of the song. Ele chamda libi, chusana ve'al natitalem. Ele chamda libi, chusana ve'al natitalem. Ele Hamda, Hamda Libi, Hosanna ve'alna titalem. Ele Hamda Libi, Hosanna ve'alna titalem. Ele Hamda, Hamda Libi, Hosanna ve'alna titalem. Ele Hamda, Hamda Libi, Hosanna ve'alna titalem. We turn back to page 120. As we bring in Shabbat, as we enter into the month of Elul. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadliknem shel Shabbat. We continue on page 130. Psalm 95, Lechu neranena, let us sing joyfully to God. Lechu neranena, neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, neranena l'Adonai. Come let us sing a song to Adonai. Come let us sing a song to Adonai. Lechu neranena, neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, neranena l'Adonai. Naria letzur yishenu, nikadma fana betoda. Naria letzur yishenu, bizmirot rialo. Lechu neranena, neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, neranena l'Adonai. Psalm 96 on page 131. Yismechu hashamayim, the heavens will be happy. V'tagel ha'aretz, and the land will be happy as well. Yiram hayam, and the sea will join in. Umelo'o, and all that fills them, that fills the earth, the sea and the sky, all of God's creation in this psalm praising God's creation. The final paragraph at the bottom of page 131. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umelo'o. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umelo'o. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. From Psalm 97, 4 lines from the bottom of the Hebrew on page 132. Or zarua la tzadiku yishrei lev simcha. Light is sown for those who are righteous, and for those who are straightforward of hearts, there is happiness. And so, if we want light and we want happiness, we should be righteous, and we should be straightforward people. And if we have not been during this past year, tonight is the beginning. of the work to do to head off on a new pathway, because tonight, as the sun goes down, we enter into the month of Elul. Trivia time. What is the name of the holiday in the month of Elul? If you're in my conversion class, you have to wait for a moment to raise your hand. See if anybody else gets it. Going once, going twice. All right, Lynn, you're up. It's the month of Elul. That's right. It was a trick question. It was a trick question. The month of Elul is in and of itself a holiday. Every month on the Hebrew calendar, minus Cheshvan, has a holiday in it, which means that Elul has a holiday in it. And if you look on the calendar, there's no holidays listed in Elul other than Elul itself. Because the entire month of Elul is holy, because the month of Elul leads us in to the Amim Noraim. It leads us to the days of awe, the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So starting tonight, this is when we start to do the work of bringing ourselves toward the light and toward the happiness that are mentioned in this psalm, Psalm 97. Or zaru ala tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. 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 Ul yishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, ul yishrei lev simcha. Ul yishrei lev simcha. Lai 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 lai. From Psalm 98, we read in English at the bottom of page 133. A psalm. Sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. Page 135 from Psalm 99. God is enthroned on cherubim and sits on a holy throne. God was here at the time of the flood, and in this time and in the future as well. We bow down at God's holy mountain, for God is holy. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, V'yishtachavu, the hard code show, the last three lines of the Hebrew, page 135. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, V'yishtachavu, the hard code show. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, V'yishtachavu, the hard code show. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu V'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu V'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. On page 136 and 137, we'll read together from Psalm 29, a psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders, Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Sirion like a young wild ox. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calf and strips forest bare. While in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. Lai 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 lai. Adonai oz le'amo yitain yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Adonai oz le'amo yitain yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Lai 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 lai. As we turn to page 138, 139, we come to Lecha Dodi as we welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride. Lecha Dodi likat kala yalalai 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 mi Shabbat mikabela. Lecha Dodi likat kala yalalai 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 mi Shabbat mikabela. Shamor v'zachor diborecha. Hishmi'anu er hamiuchad. Adonai echad, shelo echad. L'shem u'tiferet ve'tila. Lecha dodi kakala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. Lecha dodi kakala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelchad, ki mikor ha'bracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh lemachsheva tehila. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. Verse number 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'oreh uri, 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 shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi kakala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. Lecha dodi kakala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. We rise as we face the door, as we come to the final verse, as we welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'tzola, toch emuneh am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. Lecha dodi likat kala yalalai 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 Shabbat mikabela. We've welcomed in the Shabbat bride. We can take a moment to welcome each other. Turn to the people around you, across the aisle from you, in front of you, behind you, and wish them Shabbat Shalom. And for those of you who are online with us on templeshalom.com and on our YouTube page, Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well. right. We've got some people moving a little closer. There's an old Talmudic expression, and it says, Mishane makom, mishane mazal, which means if you change your place, you change your luck. So, it's a great expression, isn't it? Mishane makom, change your place. Mishane mazal, you change your luck. And out of that, right, out of that expression, by the way, there's a tradition among some Hasidic sects. And this will bother, I don't know if this is going to bother anyone who's in the room right now, but it might, I don't know. But there's a tradition in a couple of the Hasidic sects that take this Talmudic quote, Mishaneh makom, mishaneh mazal, change your place and change your luck. And every year at Rosh Hashanah, they change that permanent seat that they sit in the synagogue every single Shabbat. So when the new year comes, they find a new permanent spot as their permanent spot in the synagogue, because if you change your place, you change your luck. And for the new year, you should have a change of luck. And so, and for those of you who are wondering, yes, we do have people here at Temple Shalom who sit in the exact same seat every single Shabbat. They never miss out on that particular seat. Some of them get here early enough so that no one steals their seat. And so, but you change your place, you change your luck. And so there you go, all of you who moved your seats. Maybe your luck changes in some way because you changed your place. We continue as we come to page 140. Psalm 92, a psalm of Shabbat. Yismo shir leyom hashabbat, tov lehodot la'adonai, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon. Yismo shir leyom hashabbat, tov lehodot la'adonai, ulizamer leshimcha elyon, ulizamer leshimcha elyon. Lehagid b'boker chastecha, אמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנה. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני מאוד, עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. On page 142, you'll find the words to an old table song. Everybody know what a table song is? Yes. It's a song that you sing when you're sitting around a table. It's that simple. And over time, over many centuries, the Jewish community has written many, many table songs, and they're usually sung on Shabbat and holidays to make your table more joyful for Shabbat, because it's Shabbat, what to be more joyful. And there are those who to this day sitting around their Shabbat table, they'll come to the service, they'll go home and have dinner, and they'll sing table songs until the wee hours of the morning. Once upon a time in Jerusalem, I was with a family, and we sat around the table, and there was cake, and there was schnapps, and there were table songs. And eventually, we were singing table songs, and the next thing I knew, the sun was coming up, and we got ready to go to the synagogue for morning services. So, what does that tell you? It tells you that in the Jewish tradition, there are lots and lots and lots of table songs that we sing around the table for Shabbat. Occasionally, some of them made them into the Siddur, and this is one of those on Page 142, Shalom Aleichem, one of those table songs that speaks of the idea of angels joining us on Shabbat. And it made it into the Siddur some time ago. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 144. Yitkadav Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Yalma Divrach Yerutev Yamlich Malchutei, Bechayechon Uvyomechon, Uvchayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, Bagala Bagala, Uvizman Karivim Eru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, Le'alam ulam me'amaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei Dukudasha, B'richu le'ela min kol berchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Damiron ba'alma, V'yimeru, Amen. We call ourselves to prayer with the words of Baruch Hu as we rise and turn to page 146. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amevorach Baruch Adonai Amevorach Amevorach Le'olam va'ed Amevorach Amevorach Le'olam va'ed. We can all be seated and we'll give thanks for creation as we'll read together on page 149 in the middle of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Praised are you, O God, the one who brings on the evening. Page 150. We give thanks for the gift of Torah, for its lessons, for its pathways, for its laws and its statutes. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limaduta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, yishofreinu v'kuneinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'lemitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu be'orech yameinu, uvahem neged yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohel Amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Page 130, 152 and 153. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu le'totafot b'neinecha uv'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'hisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'oechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. We read together in English, page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We continue with the Geula, giving thanks for our redemption. We read responsively in the middle of 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. The earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and in peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. And just as our ancestors sang, we sing these words saying, O God, who is like you among all of those deities that are worshipped in the world, who is very holy and Osei Nifla, who does wondrous things. Only you could do these things for us. We sing this Shirat, this portion of Shirat Hayam, this section of the Song of the Sea, Micha Mocha, page 158. Ya lai lai la lai 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 lai, ya lai lai la lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 ya lai 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 lai. Micha Mocha ba Elim Adonai, Micha Mocha ne'edar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osefelet, Nora tehilot osefelet. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יא לי 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 לי, יא לי 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 לי, Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Praised are you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. As we turn the page to page 160, we ask God to lie us down in peace and to cause us to rise again tomorrow to life. And then we say, guard our coming and our going, for life and for peace, for now and forever. Those last few words are in the indented 3 lines in the middle of page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, lie us down in peace. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chayim. Ushmor tzitenu uvoenu l'chayim u'shalom l'tavei adolam. Lai la lai 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 lai. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chayim. Shomreinu l'chayim, shomreinu l'chayim. Page 162. People of Israel will keep Shabbat. Observing Shabbat throughout the ages is a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth. And on the 7th day, God ceased from work. God's soul was refreshed, as our soul is refreshed on this Shabbat. Vishameru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Lidorotam Berit Olam B'ni Uven B'nei Yisrael Oti Le'olam Sheshet Yamin Asa Adonai Et HaShamayim Ve'et Haaretz U'biyom HaShvi'i Shabbat Shabbat Vayinafa Shabbat Shabbat Vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat Vayinafash Shabbat Shabbat Vayinafash. We rise as we come to the Amidah, as we stand panim el panim, face to face with God, praying together and individually, as well as individually and together. As we come to these blessings, praising God, giving thanks for Shabbat, and then giving thanks before God, we begin on page 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chaste Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshia Umagin Baruch Atah Adonai Magin Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechai HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatah Mechakel Kayim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabbi Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayim Emunato B'Shenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umido melach melech mimitu mechaye umatzmiach Yeshua b'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol atah kadosh u'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshi b'chol yom yahalelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el HaKadosh. We continue silently through 180 and 181, or with the prayers we find in our own hearts and our own minds. Please be seated when you're finished with your silent prayer. page 180, near the bottom of the page. Yihiyu l'ratzo imrefi ve'hegyon libi lifanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali Yihiyu l'ratzo imrefi ve'hegyon libi lifanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. We turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing as we turn to page 371 in our Siddur. We ask for God to bring refuah shlema, complete healing, to Carrie Susser, Brian Zabel, Reuven ben Tzipora, Moshe ben Avraham, Avraham ben Meir, Judy Bauman, Avram ben Odul, Ellen McIntosh, John Redmond Palmer and William Redmond Palmer, Susan Perry, Paltiela bat Mordechai Vavasha, Harriet Neal, John Sheck, Faye Green, Howard Chook, Joel Weiss, Cheryl Miller, Charney Oppenheim, Jessica Sidman. Do we have any other names that anybody has to include on for healing blessings? Anybody on this side? Thank you. Anybody on this side, names for healing? For all those we've named, for those who are suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic, we ask God to bring each and every one of them refuah shlema, complete healing. Bimheira v'yameinu, may it come quickly to them. Mi she'beira avoteinu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi she'beira imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. As we mentioned at the start of our service, as the sun goes down tonight, we enter into the month of Elul. It's a month of heavy lifting. Now, we have a tradition that says that we say some prayers called slichot, which means apologies. We say slichot during this period of time. Now, there's two different traditions about slichot. One, in the Ashkenazi tradition, says that we say slichot starting on the Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah. Now, it creates a problem when you have a year like this year, because Saturday night, the next day, is Rosh Hashanah, and one day of apologies is probably not enough for most of us. So we move it by a week. But as we enter into Elul, and it's an interesting entry into Elul because this is a Rosh Chodesh that's 2 days long. So Rosh Chodesh means the new month. And if you look on a calendar, you'll see that as the sun goes down today, what's the official date on the calendar? Tomorrow morning, or tonight when the sun goes down. It's the 30th of Av. And then Sunday is the 1st of Elul. So why do we say that Elul begins tomorrow? Because the tradition is that we're starting the month with Rosh Chodesh, and because this month is important, it gets a 2-day long celebration of entering into the month, right? And so while it's not officially Elul till tomorrow night, starting the sundown tomorrow night, it's sort of Elul-ish because it's the first of the 2 days of Rosh Chodesh, the first of the 2 days leading us into the month. Now, the Ashkenazi tradition says the Saturday before, or if it's only a few days before, then the Saturday before, the Saturday before. And the Sephardic tradition says that you start your slichot tomorrow night on the first day of Elul. Because the Ashkenazi rabbis say we should say slichot for about a week before Rosh Hashanah. And the Sephardic rabbis say, no, the whole month of Elul is holy. You should say slichot during the entire month of Elul. Who do you think you are that you only need 1 week of apologies? In my opinion, as with a lot of things, I often think that the Sephardic rabbis have it the correct way. Now, this week in our Torah portion, we read from Parashat Re'eh. Now, tomorrow morning, we're going to read from the third. I said that correctly, the third, because we read the triennial cycle, so we'll read only the end of Re'eh. But at the beginning of Re'eh, there's a famous moment. It's the blessings and the curses. Moses tells the people that God has commanded that the tribal chieftains will climb to the top of 2 mountains. One, Mount Abel, and one, Mount Gerizim. And on the top of these mountains, half of the tribal chieftains will shout out to the people all of the curses. And from the other mountain, the chieftains will yell out to the people all of the blessings. And these 2 mountains afterwards, we will march between these 2 mountains to go into the promised land. It's also told that these blessings is the only time they're said. I mean, we read them in the Torah, but every year we don't have tribal chieftains climb up these 2 mountains and yell the blessings and the curses at us. Only the one time when we made our way into the promised land. Now, the blessings and the curses are an interesting thing because it says, if you choose the blessings, things will go well for you. And if you choose the curses, things will not go well for you. So, just a straw poll, just to see, I think I know how this is going to go. How many of you choose the blessings? How many of you choose the curses? The 2 contrarians in the room. Excellent. But most of us, we would choose the blessings, right? This is a pointless part of the Torah, is it not? Choose the blessings over the curses. Really? I needed Moses to tell me this. Well, actually, yes. I needed Moses to tell me this. Because we are human, and often we make rash judgments. Don't believe me? Let's just take a little bit of news over the last couple of years, shall we? COVID-19 vaccines came, and within 24 hours, every single person in our country was a vaccine expert. For, against, I don't know, but they were a vaccine expert. There was a search of a particular property in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and suddenly every person in our country was an expert in search warrants and subpoenas. some strange weather formation happens, and suddenly everybody, you'll remember it 2 years ago, everyone instantly was a meteorologist who was an expert in bomb cyclones. That's right. It comes on the news, and within 2 minutes, we are an expert in everything because we make rash judgments. A person at work sitting around the conference table comes up with an idea, and instantly we know whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, even though we're not quite certain half of the vocabulary that they used in presenting the idea. I was speaking with someone a few weeks ago who was talking about that they run a computer system for a very large corporation. And a new vice president came in and told him to change everything about how this system works. And he said, I'm not going to do that. And he said, then you're going to be fired. And he said, can I have 10 minutes to talk before I'm fired? At the end of the 10 minutes, the new vice president gave him a raise because he convinced him why what he had been doing saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, because they were doing it the way they've been doing it, not the way the new vice president wanted it to be done. We make rash judgments. Why do we need Moses to tell us, God says you're going to hear all the blessings and all the curses? By the way, there's a lot more curses than there are blessings. And then a reminder, choose the blessings and not the curses. Why such a reminder? Because sometimes the curses first appear to be blessings. Because if I follow the way of the curse for me, and for me I mean for me and not you, for me, it's all going to start off really, really well before it all goes south and falls to pieces. So at the first appearance, the thing that really is the curse appears to me to be a blessing for me. And I'm selfish, so I don't care about you. But it's a blessing for me. And so I make the rash judgment. I'll follow the curse because I think it's a blessing. Why did we walk between those two mountains on the way into the promised land? Because every moment that we walk between the two mountains, even though the curses have already been shouted from the mountain over here, and the blessings have been shouted from the mountain over here, the echo continues. For a little while, the actual echo. And if you've ever been through some of the desert canyons in Israel, you know that the echo lasts a little bit. For those who've ever done it, if you've hiked up Masada and gone to the south end of Masada, there's a point where you can yell, and it will echo several times back to you at that southern tip of Masada. It's a very popular place to go for people who are on the top of Masada. And I can tell you that if you go in the summertime or in the wintertime, when there are birthright trips with young college students going on the trip, I'll let you use your imagination what they yell and have echo back to them. It makes for an interesting morning, one that cannot be recorded and put on television. But those canyons in the desert, the words echo and echo. And it's not just one echo, but it feels like it goes on for a bit. And then after the physical echo of the sound waves going, there's the spiritual echo and the emotional and the intellectual echo of those words. And so Moses gives the charge to the people. Choose the blessings and not the curses. So you will choose life instead of death. You will choose good instead of evil. Why the warning? Because sometimes we choose the curse because we think it's a blessing. But if the words of those chieftains yelling down from the mountaintops echo for us as we walk toward the mountains, and then in the canyon between them, and then on our way into the promised land, it gives us a little time to think about our decisions, to decide which things are really the blessing and which things are really the curse, which things really give us a reward of goodness in life, which things really give us the challenges we might have if we have evil and death. And so as we make our way into Rosh Chodesh Elul, into this month where we prepare ourselves for the high holy days and bring ourselves toward the purity of that last hour Ne'ilah of Yom Kippur, may we hear the echoes through the millennium of those blessings and curses. And may we not make rash decisions. May we choose wisely as we truly choose the blessings so that we will have good and we will have life. Shabbat Shalom. We turn in our Siddur to page 586. As we rise and sing the words at the bottom of the page, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gdula liyotzeh b'reishit, shelo asanu kol goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahen, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu noteh shamayim veyoser haaretz, umoshav vikaro bashamayim mima'al, ushchinatu zo begove meheromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emed malkinu efes zulato, kakatu v'torato, yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha, hu Adonai hu Elohim, bashamayim mima'al, ve'al ha'aretz, mitachat ein od, the middle of 590. Ki amalchut shelcha hi olam yatimloch bechavod. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol ha'aretz. Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad. Ushemo echad. Ushemo echad. We can all be seated. Don't worry, I'm using that for the announcements about the choir later. So, yeah, covered. Just y'all, everybody, just remember those harmonies you heard, and then we're going to use those in the advertising later. We, in our yard sites this week, we recall the memories of Bailey Turman, Helen Levenstein, Kristen Penny, Leonard Geller, Michael Jacobson, Miriam Superstein, Arthur Berman, Jack Weiss, Martin Schenker, A. Robert Heller, Annette Robbins, Florence Goldstein, Oswaldo Garagori, Rose Fahler, Adolf Wasserstrom, Achta Schein, Barbara Lindsay, Daniel Deutscher, Grace Hillhouse, Kaja Shukir, Clara Savitt, Harold Chase, Hyman Silver, Paula Raven, Edward Schnee, Edwin Weisler, Joseph Levin, Eddie White, Julia Blumenthal, Clara Schatzker, Paul Schatzker. We also think of all those who have died in the COVID-19 pandemic. We also note the passing and burial earlier today of former Temple Shalom member Florence Pick, who has spent her later years living in Sitka, Alaska, but for a long time was a member of Temple Shalom and has still been in contact with us over the years. She died at the young age of 99 years old, and we buried her at Sons of Israel Cemetery this morning. Are there any other yard sites that anyone else is observing? Yehu zichronam levracha, may their memories be an eternal blessing. We ask mourners to rise and those whose custom it is to stand with them as we come to Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach tirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon uv'yomei chon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach la'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shmaim. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We can all be seated. Do I have anybody with announcements? I've got announcements. Here we go. They're hanging on the door there, but that's okay. We don't need to go grab them. A few things that you should all know. 1 week from today, well, actually tomorrow morning, is our Shabbat morning service at 9:30 a.m. We'll be reading from Parashat Re'eh. It's a 2 Torah service because it is Rosh Chodesh for the month of Elul. So we'll be reading from 2 Torah scrolls. We'll also have Hallel as part of our service. So please join us tomorrow morning, either in person or on that camera right back there to you people that I'm talking to at home. Next weekend, Friday night and Saturday morning, is the bat mitzvah of Harper Ballou. Please join us on Friday night and Saturday morning as we celebrate the next bat mitzvah in our congregation. The one after that's in October, and the one after that is in January. So we have some celebrating to do coming up in the near future. And speaking of celebrating, Saturday night, September 10th, is our 50th anniversary gala. If you've not signed up yet, now is an excellent time to stand up. There's going to be great music. There's going to be great food. I know there's going to be great food because I had several questions asked me about kashrut of food and things the last couple of days, and I got to see part of the menu. And if you haven't signed up, trust me, you want to come. It's going to be great music and really, really great food and lots of fun with lots of wonderful people, so come join us for that. The night before, on September 9th, we will be having Shabbat services again, just like we did last month, at Garden of the Gods. So please join us at Garden of the Gods on Friday night, September 9th, for a beautiful service there at Garden of the Gods. Bring your dinner at 5:30, and then please bring a chair and something to drink. And 5:30 for dinner, 6:30 for the service. Just come and be there. I understand we're going to have some UCCS students joining us next Friday night in Garden of the Gods, so you'll want to be there. It's beautiful and wonderful. And then the next morning, you can join us on rituals and holidays of various religions here in the Pike Peak region. Back in May, there was a program on the Buddhist tradition. This month, it's about Judaism, and I think in December, it's going to be Islam, and then going on to the new year, a few other religions. The program will be at 2 o'clock in the community room at the Stetson Hills office of the Colorado Springs Police Department. They have a community room there, so you can join us for that and support the Jewish community and see where Rabbi Pillsbury and I agree, disagree, debate, and have fun as we play Talmud rabbis in front of people discussing things. It should be interesting for all the non-Jews in the room to see 2 rabbis argue in a Talmudic way over what things mean, and it should be a lot of fun, so please join us for that. Lots of other great stuff coming up for Sukkot and all other things. So this Sunday morning, which is about 36-ish, 37, 38 hours from now, something like that, 9 a.m. back to shul, opening our religious school. There will be bagels, there will be cream cheese, there will be lots of wonderful children and lots of wonderful teachers. Ellie's got a wonderful program planned for us. Ellie's right over here, and she's got a wonderful program put together for all of us to kick off our school year. Even if you're not in school, you can come and celebrate that our school is starting up for the year. So that's a wonderful thing. Again, check the Temple Shalom calendar. Check your email for the September bulletin, which will be in your email near the beginning of the week next week, for all of that exciting stuff that's coming up that you need to know. And please check your King Super card and your smile.amazon.com account and your what's the photo one? Shutterfly, when you order stuff on Shutterfly, and also box tops for education. You don't even need to bring the box tops here. You just scan your box tops with the app, and our school gets money and our synagogue gets money from all those things, and it costs you nothing. So whether you're here at Temple Shalom or you're there on that camera, you can raise money for Temple Shalom in a free way with all of those things. And you can do it in a free way while you stay off the freeway, something like that. But the last thing I want to tell you is that if you turn to page 662 in your Siddur, not quite at the bottom of the page, you will see some words that if you enjoyed those beautiful harmonies that were in this room at the end of Aleinu, and you would like to partake in those beautiful harmonies that were at the end of Aleinu, we have a high holiday choir that you can join. Its rehearsals are on Tuesday night. If you missed this past Tuesday where the first rehearsal happened, you missed out on some beautiful music. But if you want to join in on that beautiful music, whether you're here in the room, because most of the choir's in the room right now, not all of them, but most of the choir here, about 80% or thereabouts. But you can join in the choir, whether you're here right now or you're at home. You can join in on the choir, and you might be able to sing this beautiful melody that's going to be part of our High Holy Day celebration. And we'll see if this seems like a good key for us. If not, we'll change it when we rehearse on Tuesday. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha Venashuva Venashuva Chadish Chadish Yameinu Kekedem Hashivenu Hashivenu Adonai Elecha Venashuva Venashuva Chadish Chadish Yameinu Kikedem Chadish Chadish Yameinu Kikedem. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. For those of you on TempleShalom.com and on our YouTube channel, we'll wish you all an Erev Tov and Shabbat Shalom. For the rest of you, we'll see you in the back of the room for Kiddush and Motzi. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Hashivenu, Hashivenu,